Welcome to another episode of Sawdust Nation podcast. This is episode 12. Man, can you believe that we made it to episode 12?
Yeah, we're going to go far with this one. We're going to make it, next thing you know, we're going to be on episode 100.
Episode 100. That's hard to believe. Episode 100. That seems like such a far ways away, but I remember when we first did our first episode, and talking about an episode 12 was almost unheard of.
It almost seems like it came out of nowhere. You know, next thing you know, we're doing episode 2, and then you turn around and it's episode 12. I mean, I actually had to remind myself that, we've been doing this for a little bit now, and like I've been listening to the episodes, after you publish them on Thursday-ish, and then
Ish.
I'm looking going, it's amazing seeing the episode number continually go up. It's amazing seeing the following that we have. And, truly, I'm going to break out of this, but, I want to thank everybody for the support that we've been getting with the podcast, with the Instagram, and then, seeing the downloads that are being had, all over. And it's just not in the United States. We're being heard around the world at this point, and it's an amazing feeling.
It truly is a great thing to see. We've had great feedback from everyone out there, and one of the reasons we're doing this at the beginning of the episode, thanking everybody, is it means that much to us. We want to make sure you guys understand that we appreciate all your support, the questions you're writing to us, asking for stickers. We love getting that type of feedback. So thank you, and we're going to continue with the normal show. Did we introduce ourselves? I don't remember.
I believe so. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm Josh from North Country Woodworking, and over there is AJ from Grafton NJ. But, well, man, what's going on in your workshop? I know you have something going on in there.
Of course. When don't we have anything going on? Even if it's a mess, we still have something going on.
Sometimes it reminds me of that meme where the guy's sitting in fire drinking coffee and everything's fine.
Yeah, exactly. That's almost like how it is every day when I walk down into the shop and it's a disaster and I'm going like, it's fine. I'll just hammer through it and get through my stuff. But, I had to really buckle down and get a lot of wedding projects done. And it's not really a lot. It was just the little things that I wanted to make sure that they were perfect. I didn't want to have to redo them because they weren't just on, the normal pine that I'm going to be doing. So they were on very special pieces because Kim found them in my workshop. She looked at them and goes, that's what I want, this sign on. And she hand selected the pieces and made sure that they were to what, would fit at our small wedding. I mean, it's going to be family. So if they don't like it, oh, well, it's just family. So, but we got them all carved out. I believe last episode I was talking about the Aura mask. That stuff works absolutely amazing if you apply it the correct way. And we used that. I sprayed some clear coat. It was against my better judgment, but I have to do what the missus wants. And she was very happy with it. She wanted full gloss on the signs. She's probably in the background. She's probably staring at me through the door. But they actually came out really, really nice. I haven't used full gloss in a long time, and now seeing it, it's like it actually gives it a lot of depth and a lot of character, and it fit the pieces very well. I did one sign was on some Spalted Maple live edge. The other piece was, I think it was cherry. A live edge piece, very, something small. But, and then the last one, I did the epoxy pour, if you remember, with the filling in the voids. Mm-hmm. That actually got...
that was with the copper, right?
Yeah.
Black diamond pigments?
Yep. I did that on some walnut. And that walnut was very gorgeous, the way it was. So we filled in the voids. I actually flattened it on the CNC, got that all ready, carved it out, put some Wally sauce on it, and it turned out amazing. And the epoxy is not overpowering because it was very little. But man, that epoxy really cured. It cured perfectly. It held in place where I wanted it to. I was actually worried with the CNC flattening it. I took off so little, but I was worried that it might gouge it and then rip it out of the void because that would be my luck. But everything held together, carved out beautifully. All the signs are done. The cornhole boards. Ooh, that one. I knew there was something exciting. The cornhole boards are officially done. And let me tell you, angles are not my strong suit because after I talked to you about how to do the legs on it, I still somehow managed to screw them up. So I had to redo them. It's it wasn't fun. You know, it was fun because I learned and I got them right. But I think my whole placement was off for the carriage bolt.
Really? I want to know more about like why you think you misplaced it and like how the first set failed. I'm just curious.
Well, here, I can give it to you. I can explain it something because you have a cat. I have cats. If you look at a cat when they're stretching, their arms are really far out and their backs are arched. Well, that's how my cornhole boards looked because it looked like the playing surface was in one spot and it looked like the legs were literally stretched completely out, almost like they were trying to lay flat. I don't know what kind of angle I cut them on, but the reason that I think I kind of had a twofold issue. I think my angle was a little wrong, and also the placement of the carriage bolt was wrong. I think I placed it too far from the very front of it. I think I've placed it too far in. So I went off of some dimensions online, but after I did it, I'm like, man, it's not working out the way I wanted to. I actually had to add stop blocks in it. So I took up some room so that legs didn't kind of fold out all the way. They folded kind of where they should. So after I redesigned it, I had to cut different angles. The only reason I had to make a second set is because after I had to cut the next angle, they were too low.
Yeah, because the angle would have changed with the stop block. That makes sense.
Yep.
So real quick, we're going to go over the technique that I gave AJ. And basically, it's real simple. He turned the cornhole board over so that the face is now on the ground or the work surface. He put the leg up to where it's going to be actually sitting. Then you take a long piece of straight wood, something preferably you cut yourself so you know it's somewhat straight. You go to the front corner of the cornhole board and to the upper surface and use a clamp or something to place it there. And then you use a tape measure on the other side with the leg to measure 12 inches up. And then that will give you the exact angle that your board needs. Because if you don't use plans and you're doing it yourself, you might put the carriage bolt hole too far back or too far forward or what have you. That will give you the exact angle to give you that degree it needs to sit flat on the surface. That's, I believe, what you used.
Yep, I did. I actually tried using a level, and that's, you'll actually get a good kick out of it because I grabbed my level. I'm going, this level's long enough. I place it on there and I go, that's right, I forgot this is a 4-foot level and the piece is 4 foot. So now when you try angling it, it's not right because it's too short. If it was sitting on it, no problem, it'd be fine. But now that you raise the one side up, now you have to kick the other side in. And I'm going, man, I don't have anything long enough. So I did find a scrap piece of wood that was long enough, did the angle thing. But I think my biggest thing was, which I'll probably have to discuss with you, on where your carriage bolt placement is. Because like I said, I believe that it was actually too far down from if you imagine it from the very tip that's, up in the air, down towards on the runner, I went, I think 4-inch or something like that. Oh, you know what? Now that I'm talking this over, I wonder if my board was undersized. I don't think it was a true 4, like a 1x4. I think I used something.
Never a 4.
No, but I think I might have even got something smaller. I think I might have had this scrap laying around, which I thought was the correct size. Because I was kind of in a rush. I wanted to get it done. So I went, there's a perfect size. And I kind of just slapped it all together. Man, good thing we talked about this. Now I think I know where I went wrong on it.
Oh, man, sometimes working it out, talking about it, definitely gets the brain going enough to, figure out a solution. That's why, as a Sawdust Nation community, we all like talking about what we're doing. We have problems. We reach out to each other. And that's one of the reasons we're doing this, because we like making sure that everyone finds a solution to their questions.
Hey, and I'll be honest, I probably did. I'm now that we're talking about it, I definitely grabbed the wrong piece of wood. It wasn't the same stuff that I used for the side rails. But you know what? In the end, I worked around it, didn't give up. So I can't, I'm sad to say, but you can't buy my tools for $1. I'm not at that point where I'm giving up.
I'm going to frame $1, put it in my workshop, and it's going to be break for emergency case only. And that's going to be the case.
You know now that you're going to have to make one, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely going to do it. It would be a project I'll knock out here sometime soon. Or I'll buy a frame. I know I'm a woodworker, and I might buy a frame. Everyone calm down, please.
That's a good one. I like that. I hope to subtly see that, Just like you taking a video, doing your story, and next thing you know, there's just a in case of emergency, in case AJ freaks out, here's $1 for his tools. Think about that.
In case AJ calls.
Yeah,
Break.
exactly.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to do something. Yep, it's definitely going to happen.
There you go.
I just got to find a place for it.
Well, so besides all that, the cornhole boards came out great. I shot them with, I think, 3 coats on the top and bottom of Varathane Spar, and it came out really, really nice. Yeah.
Varathane, Minwax, Spar, polyacrylic.
No.
Just shake your head.
Don't listen to
Laugh.
this.
In the contract, you're supposed to laugh at least 4 times at my jokes. Dad jokes or not.
I was so confused that day. I'm going, wait, is it a Varathane product, a Minwax? Who owns who at this point? I thought like Minwax just owned everybody at this point. They even own probably like, the big names, like bigger than those.
It's a conspiracy. They do.
Now I get it. So I got the cornhole boards are done. The 3D printer was, man, that thing was going 90 miles an hour all weekend long. I started when I wake up. I shut it off before I went to bed. And, it was print after print. And I actually ran out of filament for the very first time and didn't realize it until I was 3/4 of the way through. And I look at the spool before I go outside, and I'm like, there's enough filament on that to finish this piece.
There's always enough filament, right?
I've never run out. When my pops gave me the 3D printer to hang on to, he gave it to me with the spool I was using. So I never changed it. So I look at the spool, I go upstairs, I went, it'll print fine. That one will be done. I'll be able to change out the spool. I come down, I see the machine just sitting there idle, and the piece is 3/4 of the way done. So the piece was actually red filament, and now I had white. Well, this little M12 M12 tool holder that I'm making now looks like a traffic cone because it's reddish orange on the bottom and white on the top. So now all my new stuff is all white.
It's funny that you ran it out last week as well, because I actually had the same issue, but mine doesn't have a sensor and stops.
Oh.
So I'm out in the workshop and I didn't have it on the TV, and my wife goes, "Hey, your machine's making weird noises." I run in, and literally in the extruder you see this little green tip because it ran out. So I pause it real quick. I throw in some orange because I'm making a camera mount. That way I can watch it easily. And I put it through, wondering how many layers I missed. And if I would have missed one more go around, I don't think would have been able to finish the print.
Wow.
But I made just enough where I saved it in time. So
that's
kudos
awesome.
to my wife for getting me in time. But yeah, it's just funny that you ran out, because I saw that. I'm like, what are the chances that we would both run out of filament this one week? Because that was my first roll I ran out of. And I was like, well, for the money, it lasts a while, because I've made so much off that green filament.
I know. I couldn't imagine how much. I was wondering when I was going to run out. And when I saw the inside of the spool starting to show, I'm going, wow, if it took this long. And just looking at the stuff that I printed, it wasn't anything with a lot of intricate details, but the amount of items that I printed is mind-boggling for that little roll of PLA. I was blown away. So, I got, I think, like 4 more rolls that my pops gave me with it. So I'm set for friggin' years to come at this point. So the CNC was also going hardcore this weekend with the signs, more flags to do. I did flatten more stuff. So I flattened the walnut sign, got that all dialed in. If you remember from last week, my CNC router I found out was off. It was actually pitched outwards. So I fixed that. It still has a tiny bit of pitch to it, but I ran Mirka Arbanet over it at 80 grit, and it actually took out all the little lines. They were like superficial lines, but you could feel them. They were nowhere near as bad as that "Welcome to the Lake House" sign that I test carved on.
Did you ever figure out why there were such bad lines on "Welcome to the Lake House"? Like, did you ever find out, was it the sandpaper? Was it just the material you're running in?
I completely forgot it. I even did that. Okay, there's 2 things. The lines on the "Welcome to the Lake House" sign was actually from the CNC being kicked out, because that happened.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
The lines,
yeah.
The lines Josh is talking about right now. I don't know why I just referred to you like that. That guy Josh,
That guy.
Anyway, that guy over there that I'm looking at right now, who was talking earlier, the drum sander left lines from the 80 grit sandpaper inside the walnut. And that was prior to me doing the epoxy. So it kind of washed itself out because once I had the lines there, I was not freaking out, but I was worried about it. I poured the epoxy. Well, now I had to flatten it to get the epoxy off. So it kind of took that away, and I kind of started fresh. And even with the superficial lines that the router made, the 80 grit Mirka sandpaper took that right out. I had no problem with that.
I actually need to buy some more sandpaper here soon, so I might go ahead and get me some of that and try it because I've been using fairly cheap sandpaper, and man, do I go through a lot. Because in the beginning, I used to use like one round, and I used to use it till like it's falling apart. I don't have time for that now. So what I actually, once it stops standing really well, I'll change it out, and if it has a lot of grit on the bottom, I'll keep it to the side to do it for my hand sanding. But other than that, I don't keep it.
Yeah. One thing that I noticed is you're going to try the Abranet?
Yeah.
If you're looking at the Abranet, the one thing that you're going to notice is if you sand corners or even get close to a corner where it's rotating, it might tear. And I'm not the only one who's had that issue. I actually saw it, Tyler over at HGC AZ on Instagram. He was showing this new sandpaper that he has, and it looks like a regular sandpaper, but he really, really likes it, and it fits the Mirka. The brand that it was Orca Abrasives. I actually reached out to them, was talking to them about it because I voiced my concerns about the Abranet. I love the Abranet because of the dust collection is amazing on it, especially paired with the Mirka. I don't have a full Mirka system. I just have the sander. But even with my rigid shop vac, it's still, I have almost no sawdust anywhere on that piece. It picks up everything. So he said the dust collection is really good. It doesn't tear like the Abranets. And I mean, the very first time, I'm thinking Mirka, Abranet, it's going to withstand kind of anything. I came just close to a corner and it tore. And I'm going like, man, maybe it's just a piece that I chose. I tried another one and I kind of avoided it, but I did accidentally hit the corner again and it tore. So I'm going like, okay, I guess it's something that the Abranet, because it's, just pieces that are woven together. It's not like a regular sanding disc where all that's now pressed onto that disc. So I'm going to pick up some of the Orca Abrasives, try that out. And, if it holds up, then that'll be my go-to, if I have to do something with a lot of corners where I know the Abranet's not going to work so well. But man, I'm telling you, that Abranet is some great stuff. I took 80 grit. You'd swear you were at least sanding 150, 200 or 220.
Yeah.
I mean, it leaves a smooth surface. The only one that I really want to look into, especially getting into these slabs that I picked up over the weekend, is the Abranet Ace. I heard that it's better for material removal. It's a little bit more aggressive, so I want to look into it and maybe pick up a box so I can use it on these slabs. Not to flatten them, but to maybe get them. Some of them are
prep.
Yeah, because I have some that are very flat, so I won't have to do a flattening to them. So I kind of want to get the sawmill marks out of them, and instead of going through a few discs of the regular Abranet, maybe the Ace will take that out and quicker, if you want to say. But anyway.
Yeah, I honestly didn't realize that they had so many different types of sandpaper within the Abranet sandpaper. I don't have a Mirka, and I just haven't used that kind of sandpaper before. And I've been seeing people using different offshoots, like I think High HD and Ace and different ones like that. I definitely have to do some research on that and maybe use it for certain applications.
Yeah, it's. I don't know what other ones that they have. All I know are the regular Abranet and then the Ace. I think, don't quote me, I think they have a Ace HD or something like that. I think that's in it.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's what I'm talking about.
Okay. I definitely want to look into which ones they have. Pick up some, do trial runs on them, see which one I like better, and then go from there. But, go-to right now is the Abranet on the Mirka, and that's been working out very fantastic for me. And it proved with the 80 grit that it will take those lines that were left by the CNC. So at least I know I'll be able to quote unquote save a piece. Because when I saw the lines going, I'm going, oh man, I just ruined this whole piece. Now I'm gonna have to start over. And luckily I was able to sand it out, no problem. So besides what's in my workshop, what are you working, Mr. Josh?
Well, I have actually wrapped up a majority of my projects, except for a couple that are I'm working on, but not as I would on a normal circumstance. So I still have the farmhouse table I'm starting. I also have that coffee table that I'm still working with a client to iron out some details. But other than that, I made the 2 mallets for yourself and NPG Creations. I delivered his the other day.
Nice.
Yours is in the mail.
All right.
So we'll be looking out for that. Those are done. I did a couple laser engravings. One that I posted about, and it was like bird cage and a tree, and it was sold within about a half hour of me posting.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it went fast. So I wasn't even done really with that piece at all. Like I just posted the engraving. So I'm actually using some epoxy for the top so it can be a cheese board, and doing the bottom as well. Other than that, I got a job for a charcuterie board, and it's about 30 inches circle. Yeah. And they want light wood. So I'm going to be using ash, and I'm prepping the slabs for that, cutting them to length. And I'm going to probably go about a 1/2 inch, maybe just a little bit bigger, but it's going to be about a 1/2 inch, I think.
Nice.
And I'm running into a problem, and this is kind of funny because our bandsaws cut 13 inches, right? Well, I need 30 inches, and some of the slabs that I have, like at least a couple of the ash ones, I have up to 16, 17 inches of width on them. So I literally have to cut a little, them in half almost, run them through to resaw them, and then have to glue them back together, which is something that I didn't think I would run into, especially getting a 13 inch. I know there's, larger slabs out there, but you go from like a 6 inch into a 13, you're like, oh, I can cut anything. Of course, you're going to run into something.
Of course. Why? But it wouldn't be, we wouldn't be in this if we never ran into any issues. We wouldn't be able to talk about any of this because everything would just go hunky-dory at that point. But I feel the frustration.
So that's just something that I'm, dealing with. And these projects are great because, like, a lot of the projects I've had, at least in the past, they seem to take a little while to complete. These projects, if I get time out there, I can go out there, work on it a couple hours, come back inside and make some, real progress with. So that's all good. That one will have an engraving on it as well when it's, done and basically ready for the handles.
That's good.
But other than that, I'm just doing a little shop cleanup here and there and, going in there, fine tuning my laser skills and working on my, 3D printing. And with that, I've been posting a lot about it because what I'm doing is trying different temperatures. So I'm doing a lot of these tests on it that basically allow me to start off at a higher temperature, which is the higher of the PLA temperatures. And during the actual print, I adjust the temperature to a lower temperature so I can see what it does to the print. I'm doing this because not only do I want to do stuff for our fellow woodworkers out there, but I want to be able to get into the market for like Warhammer, I believe it is, Warhammer, and some of those pieces that you could print off, or Dungeons and Dragons. Some of the things that I know for a fact that I have clients waiting to be had out there for. So if I can print really detailed models with my 3D printer, I get into that market and I can have that working for me as well.
Nice.
Right? You're trying to find the market and what's around you. And right now, I want to make sure I could dip into multiple markets to continue making money off the machine.
That's awesome.
But yeah, man, other than that, trying to keep it as easy as possible. We have a lot, coming up. And yeah, so, just prepping the house and prepping, the cars and, our little one for the baby's arrival. Because of that, I did stop all orders officially.
Okay.
And the ones I'm working on are the ones I can knock out fairly quick and have already been agreed to be done before we said we're stopping. So that's the state of my shop. I'm continue to be posting and doing everything I can until if I go dark for a couple of days, you probably know why.
Yeah, of course. I can't wait to get that mallet. I'm really looking forward to it.
Those mallets, I almost didn't send them to you and him. They're better than the mallet I have. And as I was oiling them up, I'm like, I hated to see them go. Like they're gorgeous. When I was working the wood, like you could tell the grain in both your mallets and like how they turned out. I really had to make myself like a really pretty mallet, so I don't use just sits there.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed doing these mallets, and I wouldn't mind doing mallets for anyone that wants them. Their little logo and whatnot, and work out a price. But yeah, they really I liked it, and yours is very special, and I can't wait until you get it because I made good at all my promises to you.
That it sounds. I'm trying to remember exactly what we were talking about. I know there was balsa wood with walnut, and I don't remember if I mentioned pine in there too. I mean, of course, I was joking, but Josh definitely took that 100%, and I cannot wait to see because you showed me a picture and you gave me some options, and
yep,
with I think it was just maple and walnut, and you asked would you want the walnut on the outside or the maple on the outside, and that's all I know. And then you told me, I think it was maybe yesterday or Saturday, that that I'm gonna laugh when I see it because you fulfilled what we were talking about. So I'm curious because, like I said, I gave you ideas on certain things, but I don't know exactly which idea you ran with.
So I will say, that way everyone out there knows, your mallet is very functional. I didn't do anything to compromise anything on it. And I'm particularly saying the balsa wood. So I will give you that. There is balsa wood included in your mallet.
Did you use it as the BBs?
You're going to have to wait and find out. It should be there, it says the 15th, which says the 14th. But I'll probably say the 20th you'll see it.
Yeah, who knows? Hopefully I get it tomorrow. Man, that'd be awesome coming home to that thing.
I want Kim to film your reaction opening it, if that's too much to ask.
No, of course.
I really want to see the initial reaction. And if I want to see the true one, like this guy's crazy or, oh my God. Because... like, I was sending it away in the post office, and I had like 4 people stop and be like, "What is that? That's beautiful."
They weren't like, at least I know that it's that there's balsa wood somewhere on it. It's beautiful, and I mean, you took balsa wood and somehow made it beautiful. I can't wait. I don't want any more hints. I want to wait. I'm actually going to look at the tracking number. We can move forward from it because while we're doing this, I want to look up the tracking number to see exactly where it is, and I'm going to track it every 30 seconds just to make sure it didn't get lost. It's going to be coming to me.
Oh, there's insurance on it for sure. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, it was a really fun project. I really enjoyed doing these. There wasn't really a time crunch, but I wanted to get them to you guys relatively soon. That way I didn't, forget about it and it just kind of get in the back burner. I had some time and it was, like I said, it was a fun build.
Yeah. So, well, that's good.
And if you guys out there that want one with your logo on it, hit me up. We can work something out.
Well, I can't wait to actually get it and be able to put it to use. As we were talking real quick, I picked up some new slabs over the weekend because I have an idea for someone that I want to do a desk with some shelves on it. And, Josh and I were talking about how to do the legs. And now that you gave me ideas on how to do the legs, I'll be able to use that mallet for that. And, because I was thinking, because I knew you were making the mallets, and I was like, if I got started on it tomorrow, let's just say, I would be using a rubber mallet that I have in my garage. Now I'm excited to use a real woodworking mallet that is handmade by you. That I can't wait. I'm smiling over here.
I put thought in both of you guys' for 2 reasons. The maple that I used was actually given to me by NPG Creations. He gave me that piece.
Oh, wow.
Walnut that's used is the first slab I ever bought.
Wow.
And the rest of the pieces, especially for yours, his I use more for to make it a certain look. Because the way his pieces and stuff, I wanted it to look very... I try to match the personality to the mallet. And with yours, we talked about it, we joked around about it, and the best thing I could do is incorporate some of the things that we actually talked about. because, we do this podcast and this is 100% real. We talk about things we're doing. We talk about things that we want to do, and why not make what we talk about? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. I keep looking at my notes, and I mentioned it. We said it from the beginning that we weren't going to tease anything. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because I don't want to leave anybody hanging. But I did mention a special project that's in the works last week. And I was hoping to have an answer for that project by us recording, by the time we recorded this new one. Just a quick update. I don't have the newest update. It's still in the works. Everything looks like it's a go. And as soon as I have an update with that, I'll be posting it to Instagram, stories, a post about it, everything. So definitely be on the lookout for that. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, toes crossed, that this week I'll have a thumbs up with it, and then it'll be in the works. So I'm really excited about that project. Josh knows about it. I would love to, dive into it, but I really can't right now.
Yeah, man, I'm really excited about that project for you. I think it's going to be a great project to do. I'm hoping they get back to you soon.
Let's get into some questions. We actually got quite a bit of questions sent in to us. We do have a voice question as well, so we'll be playing that. That was from Trails Custom Woodworks on Instagram.
Hi guys, it's Isaiah from Trails Custom Woodworks on the Big IG. My question for you this week is on shop storage and organization. What is your shop storage and organization like? Does it need to be improved? And can you explain how you would improve it and how you would make it better? I'm currently working on making my shop even better. I ripped out all the old shelving and I'm replacing them with cabinets. Can't wait to hear from you and keep up the great work.
Well, I mean, a shop is always going to be a never-ending project, no matter how many times you redo it. And I know for myself, my organization in that shop is kind of haphazard at this point. Some things, well, I can't say some. Most things have its place. The problem is I want to have it more organized. So if you've followed along with the stories, you've seen me talk about the French cleat wall that is still in the works and still haunting me every day when I go downstairs. But I want to make a French cleat wall so I have everything in plain view so I can actually see it. I don't have to hunt around the shop for it, wonder where I put it. And then at the end of building something, I can then turn around and put it right back to where it needs to go, not try to find space, underneath the bench or back in my toolbox or something like that. And I want to have it at the ready. I try to keep my shop's very small. It's a one-car garage. And then I try keeping everything kind of, if it's a station, I got my miter station, my bandsaw is right next to that, and table saw is kind of directly in the middle. So if it pertains to one of those tools, I'll keep it with that tool for right now. And then at least I don't have to hunt around and look for, that specific wrench to undo the arbor, tuning tools, especially on the bandsaw. One of the best things with that bandsaw is it has that little holder for the 4 Allen keys that you use on that bandsaw. The greatest thing. I wish they put it on the front, but it is on the back. So for me, the back of mine is facing a wall. So it works out for what I need it for because it's, sits, I think, almost 2 feet away from the wall. But to get to it, I got to reach around to the back of it. But organization definitely is the key. And that's one of my biggest things that I need to do for myself and need to get better at because, your production slows down. You get aggravated. If it's not where it should be, then you're hunting around for 5-10 minutes trying to look for that pencil that was just here. I just had the pencil next to the square. You find the pencil, now you can't find your square. If you have a spot for everything, you put it back, at the end, then you'll be able to find it on your next project. So my shop organization is constantly changing because I'm so new at this. I don't know what would work for me. Right now it's working, but I can definitely improve on it. The French cleat wall will help me improve on that. And then later on down the road, when I build a new outfeed table, I want to incorporate drawers into it, shelving into it, just so that I can have things at the ready. So, that's my organization woe
I think organization is different for everyone because everyone's shop is different. How you operate versus, operate is completely different. We might do something similar, but I might like my, sandpaper over here and you might like it over there. Stations definitely help organization. I remember when I first started out doing this and I didn't have anything but a bench. So all my tools and everything were just kind of like laying around or stacked or, it didn't have any kind of certain place for them. And when I was doing a project, it looked like I probably spent at least 3 hours in every project looking for something or trying to find something. You might be exaggerating a little bit, but if you ask my wife, it's exactly correct. I recently installed some security in my garage because with all the tools, I kind of wanted to ensure that everything was kind of, staying where it should have. And she checked up on me one time recently when I was out there. And I think I was looking for my one of my 3 tape measures. And she goes, I saw you walk back and forth like 10 times. And I was going to go out there to make sure you're okay, not dehydrated. Because you look lost and confused. So, and once you found the tape measure, I guess I did a little victory dance because she was laughing about it. But anyway, for my organization, it's obviously progressed since then. And the way I've done it is I do have a French cleat wall. And that was one of the first organization steps that I started with because I had a lot of small things that needed to go up where I could reach them fast. And then from there, I started building stations, like my meter station and then, my drill press station and then my movable benches. Now, we've talked about flow. We talked about our workshops before, so I'm not going to go too far into this, but it's ever changing. And, right now I'm looking for where my drum sander is going to end up going. I don't really have a clear plan on where that's going to end up. And once in a while, I'll get a bug and I'll start changing around the shop just a little bit because the flow and my organization needs to improve. And the one example I'll give is my clamps. Not too long ago, I put my clamps all in one location next to my garage door and it was working fine, but I got more clamps. In particular, I got more 6-inch to 24-inch clamps, F-style, and I needed a place to store them where I could take one off without them all falling off the wall. So, I moved some of my clamps to a different wall where I can reach them easily and then left a wall open for my larger clamp. So to answer your question, man, shop storage is something that really depends on you. How you store something, there are 101 different ways out there, but you got to find something that works for you. And you obviously know this. If you check out him on Instagram, he has an amazing page and he's pretty experienced. I mean, for me in the future, moving forward, I still have to work out a space for my larger clamps, maybe a sanding station where I can include my actual drum sander. I'm thinking about doing a flip top bench and the other side of the flip top be a sanding station that has a downdraft to it. So when I'm doing something, I can have my dust collection hooked up to it. And then if I need something from my drum sander, I could flip it over and there it is. But we'll see. I have no idea where I would put that right now in my shop. So we're going to leave that as is just until I figure that out. Eventually, I'm going to re-tackle my French cleat as well and clean that up, make it look better. And a lot of the tool holders and whatnot that I made in the very beginning definitely could use some improvement. And I hope I can utilize that space a lot better in the future. But thanks for the great question, man. I really appreciate you not only writing in, but you also send these wonderful voice clips, and it definitely just makes the show that much better. We definitely appreciate you listening. So we actually got another question written in by Woodworker Max. If you haven't checked out his Instagram page, I definitely would. He has been making some incredible things and deserves a follow and a couple likes. The first question that he wrote in is, when do you guys say no to a client? If they want something custom made, but maybe you cannot make it or the customer doesn't want to pay the money. AJ, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, if you can't make it and, it's going to cost you a lot of money, cost you a lot of time, maybe you don't have the tools to do it or the skill set, you almost don't have to say no to the customer. You can maybe refer them to another maker who does have that skill set, who has the tools for it. I've gotten stuff referenced or referred to me because the gentleman actually just didn't have a router table or something, or he didn't have something to do something on that coin rack. And he said, okay, I know somebody who can, and here's their number. They reached out to me, and then it was a sale. So you don't have to say no just because you don't know how to do something or won't be able to. But if they don't want to pay the money, then that's when you have to say no. And you have to stand by your product. And, this was hard for me because if I said to someone, here's a flag, here's how much it's going to cost, and it was legitimate on how much it's going to cost, and they didn't like it, in the beginning, I would then back down because I wanted the sale. I wanted my name to get out there, and it was kind of the cost of business at that point. You want your name to be out there at, no matter what. But now that you're growing, you know how much your stuff is worth. You know the time and energy you put into it. And, if the price isn't right for them, the price will be right for somebody else. So it gets a little bit easier to say, thank you, and then move on. If they're not willing to pay at all, then you definitely say no. But if, they just if they don't agree with you on the price, your price is your price. Now, if you're really high, you're selling stuff for $500. Meanwhile, it really should be only like $100, $200. Maybe you look at your pricing, but I don't know. I'm now learning a little bit more on how to say no to certain people if they don't like the price, especially if it's legit. You sat down, you looked at what you're spending on material, in time. The rule I stick with is 3 times the material, and that's your end price, and it's worked for me. So that's my view on it. I hope I gave you some insight, Max. And what do you got, Josh?
Well, I mean, you nailed it on the head. Everything you said, I agree with 100%. But I'm going to give one example where I kind of go off from that. So I have a coffee table that I'm doing that the customer wants epoxy on. Now, I don't think they realize how much epoxy tables cost. So what we did and what we have been doing is sit down and have a conversation. This is what you want. This is the price for that item that you want. I understand this is a high price and probably not what you're expecting because they gave me their price range and it was half of the price I gave them. So I am currently in the works with them trying to get to a place where I can still make this. It still could be the product they want, but I'm not cutting anything from my sale. I'm cutting from their original idea a little bit. Instead of having a lot of epoxy, still having epoxy, but cutting it back so the price drops to an appropriate level for them. I mean, you can work with a customer, but know your limits and know when you are actually taken away from your profits and your time and everything. With this particular project, it's easy to do. The less epoxy, the cheaper it becomes. So keep that in mind.
You were able to save the sale and then also fulfill what they wanted. And, I like that. You worked with them. You just didn't blatantly say no. And of course, in that situation, I wouldn't just go, well, it doesn't meet your price need, so, you can go find somebody else. Of course, I'm going to work with them just like you do. But saying no is hard. And, you see.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I keep looking at it. I don't want to miss a sale because I want it more, as many. My thing is, I'm not even looking at it as a money aspect. I'm looking at it as I want to grow as a business and maybe have this become something of full time. So at that point, with me putting my name out there, and somebody coming back and going, either it's too high and whatnot, there's a cost that it's going to, cost you to get your name out there, but you don't want to dip below that to then just please the customer like that. If they're not willing to pay, there's definitely going to be somebody else who's going to pay that.
Your products are worth the price you're giving, unless you're trying to make a huge profit, which the wrong line of work doing. I mean, you can make some decent money woodworking, but to be a good woodworker with a good reputation and get plenty of clients, your prices have to be within the realm of reason too. And we both struggled with that in the beginning. I think we're both getting better about, redirecting clients to someone that might be, better suited for their needs. I get a lot of questions about, CNC work, and I mentioned I mentioned NPG Creations. Woodworking is definitely one of those few communities out there where we're here for one another. And that's one of the reasons I enjoy this so much. A couple more parts of this questions that he wrote in. And the second one is, what are your favorite products? When do you see tools more like an investment than tools for your hobby?
I mean, I see it as an investment when it's a necessity to buy something new that's going to allow you to grow. And I just went through that with my bandsaw. I talked with you. I talked with Kim. I kept on saying, I would love to have a new bandsaw, but the one I have now works. Problem is, the one I had now, which was the little benchtop one, it was limited. So I can't grow. And now I want to grow into bigger, different builds than just doing the normal, what the flags that I'm doing. So I'm limited at that point. And now I see a great deal. You told me, Kim told me, don't pass it up. When are you going to find it again? And I had to really look and go, I'm not buying it just because I want a new one. I'm buying it to invest in this hobby that I have that is hopefully going to turn into something larger. So now that bandsaw will last me, and I'll be able to grow into that bandsaw because that's got a lot of potential. I'm nowhere near what that thing can do. So the skill set that I'm going to learn is now going to be able to adapt with that. I'll be able to adapt with that bandsaw, no problem. So I see that as an investment, that not just that I wanted a new bandsaw. I already had one that was good enough, but I just wanted one. Same thing with my table saw. I needed something that was bigger, a bigger table where I'd be able to, do bigger projects on, and I had to get something different. And I cried after I bought it, but I cried because it was, it was a chunk of change coming off coming out of the shop. But I did it because now I'll be able to have that bandsaw for years. The table saw for years to come. So now it's an investment because now I won't have to spend that money time and time again. You invest your money the right way into things, not just into the newest, the most flashy. Maybe I'm going off track here, but you always don't need the biggest, bestest, fastest.
You're right, man. You're absolutely correct. We've gone over our tools and how we bought them a couple of different times on the podcast. But I think we kind of fall in the same line when it comes to this. We both buy tools that we need or we need to grow. We have a goal, let's say a goal, that we would like to do this full time someday. Not 10 years, not 15 years, whenever we can, right? So we're buying tools that we could get away with not using necessarily, but we're not necessarily buying completely brand new. We're going on Marketplace. We're finding the deals. I go on Marketplace almost every other day, and I'm not looking for any tools right now, but you never know when you're going to find something. And, I also look for other people. Like poor AJ, I've sent a couple of different messages a couple of times like, hey, man, here's a joiner that you might like, because we're all in this together. Mm-hmm. But to answer your question from my perspective, if you plan on doing woodworking or doing anything for the rest of your life, buy something that's going to last you the rest of your life. It can be used and you can maintain it. Even if you buy something that will help you grow and then you can buy that same product better later on, at least you're going to be learning and growing.
Yep.
Never buy, like you said, something that's just flashy and new because it's flashy and new.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure we've all done it at one point in time, but it's an expensive way to learn.
As you were talking, the only thing that I would buy that was really expensive would be a saw stop. I would buy one tomorrow, but you know what? That's an investment into keeping all 10 digits. Because if you invest, the money into that, one, it's going to be a safety feature. And then on top of that, you're going to remain safe. And then it's going to last a lifetime if you maintain it the correct way. And then you're always going to have that, I keep going back to it, but you're going to have that security. So in essence, it's a good saw. It's safety. And on top of that, it'll last. So the only reason I brought up a saw stop is because I read a comment on somebody's page recently. It was a big page. I don't remember who it was, but they do live edge tables. And somebody was complaining about a saw stop, that it's not worth it. What do you need it for? Yada, yada, yada. And I'm thinking about it. I'm going like, I would love to buy one. I love my hands the way they are. I don't want to be missing one, maybe 2 digits, and I don't want to wind up in the hospital. So that's a big investment as well. Not just that it's going to last you a lifetime and you'll be able to continue to grow with it, but that's a good safety feature that I would love to have.
So here's a question for you, man. Would you buy a used saw stop?
If its functionality was like new, yeah, why not? Even if there's a little rust on the cast iron, you could take that off with some WD and a Scotch-Brite pad.
Absolutely. And, they're on Marketplace too. I mean,
they are?
Yeah, I've seen a couple on Marketplace. The price is respectable to almost a new one. They're not that much, not that much different, but there's a couple out there. And actually, not too long ago, I saw someone that picked up a second saw stop that was in pretty rough condition. They basically redid it. You remember?
Was this a job site saw?
It might have been. It's been a while.
It was their job site portable one that they redid.
But yeah, they found it at Marketplace and they picked it up. And I mean, like, you might have to buy the safety mechanism, and I am not sure what that's called. But other than that, I mean, it worked fine. He rewired it because it needed some wire work, and it was working just like a brand new saw afterwards. So, yeah, I mean, to actually put your question to bed a little bit, man, is it really depends on what your goals are and where you want to go forward. If you plan on doing this for the rest of your life, buy a more pricey tool that's going to last you a little while that you can grow with. Even it might not be your end tool, but it could be the intermediate tool that gets you to the end tool eventually. And the last part of his questions, when a customer buys something from you and they take home one of your products, do you have any advice to give to aftercare? Do they call you back? Do they, how do you clean it, maintain it? Do you give examples of the finish so they may be able to refinish it in the future if they need to? What do you do, man?
Well, to be quite honest, none of my projects to date, except the cutting board that I did, but I never finished that. I not saying I never finished the product and handed the guy some, chunks of wood and said, "Here's your cutting board. I just didn't have time to glue it up." I don't know what I'm supposed to do at this point. No, he wanted to finish it himself with his own. I think he was going to use not teak. He was going to use tung oil. He was going to use.
Oh, okay.
So he said, "I want to finish it myself." It hurt me a little bit, but I still did it. That would be, cutting boards, definitely. Actually I can go off of, yours. You asked me what I wanted the mallet finished in. And, I'm thinking of myself. If I was to sell that to somebody, I could say this kind of same exact thing. What would you like it finished in? Then if they have that same finish, which I do, I have Wally sauce at the house, I could just, reapply it. No problem. The flags, I mean, I kind of give it in every time I sell one, if anything happens to it, let me know. I did have one that was cupping quite a bit. I hate to admit that, but I did tell him, if something happens to it where it falls apart, let me know. But, there's no real care to them because it's just something that's hanging on the wall, not getting beat up or anything like that, like a cutting board or like a mallet. So you probably have more insight on this than I do.
Well, it depends on the product. So I kind of go from furniture to cutting boards to almost anything people ask me to make. And depending on the product, I asked you what you'd like me to finish in because I use linseed oil to finish mine and let it dry. And it's been keeping really well. But I wanted to ensure that if you ever needed to refinish it, that you had the materials on hand. Now, you're another woodworker, so it's kind of easier to go about doing that. I did refinish a bench not too long ago, and I told them the exact product, where I got it, and where they could buy it from. I also told them about when, give or take on usage, when they might have to refinish it. and how to go about doing that. For my cutting boards, I really want to print out some slips and give little samples out, but I haven't sold enough to justify that quite yet. So the ones I have sold, I always give them like a rundown of how to clean it, what I've used so they can use it again, or something similar they can use that would, bring back the coloration and the protective finish. So I will give one example. I did an entryway bench for a fellow coworker of mine, and not too long ago, he called me up and asked me how he can take it apart. Because I built it for him because being military, we realized that we're going to have to move, and I wanted to ensure that he was able to A, get it out the door, and B, move it easily. Well, he wasn't there for the install. So, I quickly ran through it, and he's like, oh, okay. So when he gets to his new house, he's going to put it together, no problem, and call it a day. But that's, aftercare, I always say, if you guys have a problem with it, always reach back out to me. If it's in a reasonable amount of time, I have no problem going back and fixing it. I've had some customers, I'm not going to really get into it too far, but I've had customers reach out to me after a length of time and say they had an issue with something that couldn't have been something that would have happened naturally. And I had to work through that issue. But other than that, I haven't had too many people reach back to me asking, aftercare or, to fix anything. I've been doing this seriously for almost a year. That length of time, nothing, I would hope that nothing of mine would break or need refinishing in that length of time. So we'll see. That's a question that we can, probably hit on if something does ever return or get called upon.
Yeah, definitely. This Christmas, I want to do cutting boards, little trinkets here and there. So if I do get into that, then I'll be able to put like something with some care instructions. I do like that some makers out there do include some board wax and then the care instructions as well. But yeah, maybe I'll get into it, with this upcoming holiday season. But yeah, those were some good questions. I liked it. I think we finished Max's. Yeah, we did.
Well, we wrapped Max's up. Again, check him out. He's Woodworker Max on Instagram. He's a great maker, great guy, and worth a follow and some likes.
So real quick before we wrap up, I wanted to mention something that I truly enjoy doing. I did it one time last year. And that was my very first time of making a flag for first responders on National First Responder Day. The gentleman who had started it, I saw it posted up last year, and I really fell in love with the idea of it. I never made a wooden flag prior to this, and I looked at it and went, I can do that. And seeing that I just moved into a new area, maybe I can give back to the community that now I'm going to be living in. And my local police department was a perfect opportunity to do that. And so the gentleman, William Patrick Customs on Instagram, Bill over there, he posted it up last year and it was awesome. The greatest thing is that they're doing it again this year. They're not just doing it for first responders. They're also including essential workers throughout the crazy times that we're going through right now. So I'm really happy to be part of it. I cannot wait to get these flags going. And I'm making quite a few this year. Last year, I only did one for my local police department. This year, I'm going to probably do it I have 2 firehouses, like right down the street from me. So I'm going to do them for them. A local nurse. Actually, Kim's going to be making one as well. So it's going to be pretty cool. We got a lot going on this year. And, if you want to be a part of the Makers Never Forget Challenge, go over to William Patrick Customs on Instagram, and he has it posted up there. You just got to, comment that you're in, tell them which state you're in, and it doesn't matter if your state's already taken. The more makers, the better. And we want to try to get as many, Bill wants to try to get as many makers from all over the United States to do this and to participate. So we can give back to our local communities and the first responders and the essential workers that are, going throughout these times right now. So we just want to pay back to the ones that are doing stuff that I know I wouldn't be able to do. So Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up before we wrap up. So at this point, we can wrap up, my friend.
Yeah, it's a great cause. Make sure you check it out at minimum and follow along, because the more support that it gets, the better. So thank you for joining us for another episode of Sawdust Nation Podcast. As always, you can send us questions on our Instagram pages. AJ at Crafted in NJ, myself, Josh at North Country Woodworking. We also have an Instagram page for the podcast itself, Sawdust Nation Podcast, and we have a Gmail account. So you can send us an email with a voice clip, and that is at sawdustnationpodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget our Facebook page as well, because if you don't like Instagram and you have a Facebook page, you could always check us out there. We're trying to get as many platforms so you guys can go on, check out what's going on as possible. If you guys still want a sticker, you could always reach out. I've been sending some out. I know, AJ, I think you're sending a couple out as well, right?
After we get done with the podcast, I got to fill some things out and get those in the mailbox tomorrow.
We are still currently working on getting stickers for the podcast, but we're going to get those out as soon as possible. So be on the lookout for those as well. We appreciate you guys listening in. See you next time on Sawdust Nation. Have a good week.
See you.
See ya!
I'm a real